Hello, future engineers, subscribers, viewers, and students. Here is another, this is the extension of Algebra 5 on theory of equations, quadratic equations, worded problems. For the problems, if you want to anticipate the solution, you may do so by pausing the video. These problems may be uh, problems that you need in your preparations to engineering licensure exams. So for the first problem, problem 4, determine the value of k so that the sum and product of the roots are equal from the given equation. So we have 7x squared plus quantity 2k minus 1x minus 3k plus 2 equals 0. So for the solution, a is, from the quadratic equation, a is 7, b is 2k minus 1, and c is negative 3k plus 2. So the condition here is the sum and product of the roots are equal. The sum of the roots is negative b over a, if you can recall the derivation, while the product of the roots is the constant, negative 3k plus 2 over a, c over a. So substitute negative of quantity 2, that's the sum of the roots, negative b over a, and the product of the roots, c over a. So substituting negative quantity 2k minus 1 all over 7 equals negative 3k plus 2 over 7. Cancel out 7 and let's simplify the left side. The left side is negative 2k plus 1 and the right side is negative 3k plus 2. So simplifying, 3k minus 2k is k and 2 minus 1 is 1. Therefore, k is 1. So k is 1. Problem 5. Two engineering students attempt to solve a problem that reduces to a quadratic equation. One of the students makes a mistake only in the constant term of the quadratic equation and gives answers of 8 and 2 for the roots. The other student solving the same problem made a mistake in the coefficient of the first degree term only and gives his answers as negative 9 and negative 1 for the roots. If you are to check their solutions, what would be the correct quadratic equation? So it is clearly stated here that for the first student makes a mistake only in the constant terms, so c over a. Therefore, the coefficient of the first degree term must be correct. And therefore, we use these answers for the roots for the sum of the roots because it does not involve the constant term, which is c. So therefore, sum of the roots, which is negative b over a, is equated to 8 plus 2. So this is the expected quadratic equation, x squared plus b over ax plus c over a equals 0. That's the quadratic equation. And let's find this b over a and c over a. So as I said, for the first student, stated here, he makes a mistake in the constant term c, so we must not involve c. Therefore, the sum of the roots b negative b over a must be 8 plus 2 must be correct. So negative b over a equals 8 plus 2, so that means b over a is negative 10. Likewise, for the second student, he made a mistake only on the first degree term, which is b, and gives his answers as negative 9 and negative 1. So since b is wrong, that means the constant term c is correct. So c over a, which is the product of the roots, should be negative 9 times negative 1. So c over a, product of the roots, equals negative 9 times negative 1, and that is 9. Substitute into this equation, the quadratic equation therefore is x squared minus 10x, then plus 9 equals 0. So that's the quadratic equation. Then problem 6. Uh, Certain review instructor is hired by a group of students to conduct lecture in mathematics for their licensure exam at a package cost of 96,000 pesos. Four from the group were not able to make it due to financial matters. If the contribution of each of the remaining students increases by 2,000 pesos, how many students were in the group were in the original group? So if we denote X as the number of students in the original group, the original contribution, therefore, because it should be this 96,000 peso package cost should be equally distributed among the number of students in the original group. So the original contribution of each student is 96,000 divided by X. Then the adjusted contribution would now be 96,000 over X plus 2,000 for each of the remaining students, and the number of remaining students would be X minus 4 because it is stated here that 4 from the group were not able to make it. So again, original contribution 96,000 over X is equal to the original contribution. So the new contribution per student is 96,000 over X plus 2,000 as stated here, then times the original number of students, X minus 4, and it should go back to 96,000. So this is the number of students who contributed this new contribution, and the amount, the product of this amount should go back to 96,000, the original package cost. So simplifying by distributing 96,000 minus 96,000 times 4, so plus 2,000x. So x times 96,000 over x is 96,000. X times 2,000, 2,000x. Negative 4 times 96,000 over x is negative 384,000 over x. Then negative 4 times 2,000 is negative 8,000. So minus 384,000 over x minus 8,000 equals 96,000. So we can cancel out 96,000 in the right side of the equation. We have 0 here, multiply everything by x, so the equation becomes 2,000x squared minus 8,000x, then minus 384,000 equals 0. After we multiply everything by x, and after we cancel out 96,000. So of course, x times 0 is 0. Simplifying further, we have x squared minus 4x minus 192 equals 0. So x squared minus 4x minus 192 equals 0, which can be factored into quantity x minus 16 times x plus 12 equals 0. Or you may use your calculator right away. You can do that because your calculator aided after all. So x cannot be negative 12, x is 16. So therefore, there were 16 students in the original group. Let's continue. Problem 7. I jogged for 3 nights, and in each night, I increased the distance traveled by 125 meters. What was the distance I jogged the third night if the total distance I traveled was 3,750 meters? So to shorten and to make the solution simple calculations, then I will let the distance I traveled the first night as x minus 125 because it is mentioned here that I increased the distance traveled by 125 meters per night. So I call x minus 125 as the distance traveled the first night, this one. Then the second night, it should be x, so plus x. And the third night, which is in this question here, x plus 125. So after we solve for x, then I add 125. That's the answer to this problem. Then I equate this sum of distances to 3750. Then this is 3x equals 3750. Solving for x, x is 1,250 meters. Therefore, the distance I jogged the third night is x plus 125, 1250 plus 125. So distance traveled the third night, d sub 3, 1250 plus 125, and that is 1,375 meters. Problem 8. A mountain resort that featured skiing in the winter was partially staffed by college students in the summer. One summer, there were 3 times as many students employed as there were year-round employees. When September came, 40 of the students went back to school and 30 non-students were hired for the winter. If there were then twice as many non-students as students, how many people staffed the resort in the winter? So, during summer, we will call the number of students as S and the non-students as N. So one summer, there were 3 times as many students employed as there were year-round employees. So meaning to say, the number of students in summer employed is equal to 3 times the non-students employees. So S equals 3 times N. When September came, 40 of the students went back to schools and 30 non-students were hired for the winter. So the number of students in the winter is S minus 40, and the number of non-students would be N plus 30. And it is stated here that if there were then twice as many non-students as students, how many people staff the resort in the winter? So this is the total number of staff in the winter. So if we add this, I'll call it capital N. It is S plus N minus 10 because negative 40 plus 30 is negative 10. So S plus N minus 10. This is our working equation. Let's find S and N. Then as stated here, if there were then twice as many non-students as students, then how many people stop the resort in the winter? So the number of non-students is twice the number of students. So that is N plus 30 is equal to 2 times quantity S minus 40. So N plus 30 equals 2 times quantity S minus 40. Simplifying, N plus 30 equals 2S minus 80. So that means N is 2S minus 110, or N plus 110 equals 2S, and S is 3N from this equation. So from here, 110 equals 6N minus N, so 5N, 110 equals 5N, so N is equal to 22. So 22 non-students. Then S is 3 times 22. So therefore it is 66. We can now compute the number of staff during winter, and it is 66 plus 22 minus 10. And that number is equal to 78. So there were 78 people. 78 people stopped during winter. Problem 9, a brine solution contains 40 kilograms of salt and 60 kilograms of water. How much pure water must evaporate to increase the concentration to 80% salt? So concentration is pure amount of substance, which is 40 kilograms salt. We're talking of salt here, divided by total amount, and the total amount is supposedly originally 40 plus 60, 100 kilograms. Then since there's a need to increase the concentration to 80%, that means we have to evaporate water only. So it should be 100 minus x in the denominator, where x is the amount of water that must evaporate, pure water that must evaporate. So 0.8 or 40 divided by 100, 100 is 40 plus 60 minus x equals 0.8. So 40 over 100 minus x equals 0.8. This is the amount of pure water that must evaporate purely. So cross multiply 40 equals 80 minus 0.8x. So 0.8x equals 80 minus 40 or 40. So x is quantity 80 minus 40 or 40 divided by 0.8. So x equals 50 kilograms. So 50 kilograms of water must evaporate so that there will only be 10 kilograms of water left. So to check, 40 divided by 40 plus 10, because 50 kilograms of water will be left. 40 over 50 is 0.8 or 80% salt for that case. A man invests on 3 different brands of laptops, A, B, and C. He earns 12% in the first, 9% in the second, and loses 15% in the third brand. If he invested a total of 2.4 million on the 3 brands and he allotted equal amounts to brands A and C, how much is the net earnings if the amount invested to brand B is 40% of his total investment? So it is stated here that equal amounts was allotted to brands A and C, and for B, 40%, so 60% left, and it should be distributed equally to the amount allotted to A and C. So therefore, A and C, the amount allotted to A and C is 30% of 2.4 million. So capital or principal allotted to B is 0.4 of 2.4 million or 2,400,000, and it is equal to 960,000 pesos. The amount allotted to A and C equal, so 30% each. So P sub A equals P sub C equals 0.3 of 2,400,000, and that is equal to 720,000 pesos. Therefore, the net interest is equal to product of principal and rate of interest, rate of simple interest. And take note that the man loses 15% in the third brand. So it should be negative 0.15 times 720,000. So the net interest therefore is equal to 0.12 times 720,000 plus 0.09, 9% in the second, so 0.09 times 960,000, and loses 15% in the third, so minus 0.15 times 720,000. So computing for I is equal to 64,800 pesos. And that's problem 11. You enter a gambling house wherein there is an entrance fee of 50 pesos and an exit fee of 30 pesos. Because of luck, you always win by betting the amount left in your pocket and it doubles. If after exiting the third gambling house, you don't have any more money, how much money did you have at the start? So you recall that amount at the start is X. And because of the entrance fee in the first gambling house, the amount left as you enter the first gambling house would be your original money minus the entrance fee of 50. Since you bet this remaining amount and you always win, so therefore this is now 2x, 2 times quantity x minus 50, so 2x minus 100. When you exit, there's again an exit fee of 30 pesos. So the amount in your pocket as you exit is 2x minus 100 minus 30. So 2x minus 130. Then you enter again the next gambling house. There is an entrance fee of 50 pesos. So the amount as you enter the second gambling house is 2x minus 130 minus 50, and that would be 2x minus 180. Then this amount will double as you enter the second gambling house. 2 times quantity 2x minus 180 is 4x minus 360. Then you exit with an exit fee of 30 pesos. So the amount in your pocket would be 4x minus 360 minus 30. So 4x minus 390. Then as you enter the third and last gambling house, there is an entrance fee again of 50 pesos. So the amount in your pocket would be 4x minus 390 minus 50. So that would be 4x minus 440. And this amount will double. So 2 times quantity 4x minus 440. That becomes 8x minus 880. And lastly, as you exit, the amount left in your pocket would be 8x minus 880 minus 30. So that would be 8x minus 910. And because as stated here, you don't have any more money, so that means this is equated to 0. So 8x minus 910 equals 0. So x equals 910 over 8. And your money at the start is 113.75 pesos. Problem 12. Jezrael collected 410,000 pesos in 1 year by renting 2 apartments. Find the rent charged in the cheaper apartment if one rented for 2,500 pesos per month more than the other if the more expensive one was vacant for 2 months. So take note that there are 12 months in a year. The most expensive one was vacant for 2 months, so that means it was only open for 10 months. The rental amount for the more expensive apartment is x plus 2,500 pesos per month because x is the amount or the rent charge in the cheaper apartment. And the cheaper apartment was open for 12 months. So therefore, the amount collected in the cheaper apartment is 12x, open for 12 months, times x, then plus 10 times quantity x plus 2,500 because the amount, the rental amount or the rent charge for the cheaper apartment is x plus 2,500. So plus 10 times quantity x plus 2,500, and it is equated to 410,000 pesos. So 12x plus 10x is 22x plus 10 times 2,500, 25,000 equals 410,000. Solving for x, 410,000 minus 25,000 divided by 22. So x is equal to 17,500 pesos per month. That's the rent charge in the cheaper apartment. Problem 13. How many pounds of cream containing 12% butter fat must be added to 1,800 pounds of milk containing 2% butter fat to obtain a milk having 3% butter fat? So we will call x as the number of pounds of cream containing 12% butter fat to be mixed or added to 1,800 pounds of milk containing 2% butter fat in order to obtain 3% butter fat. So x, 0.12 times x plus 0.02 times 1,800, and it is equated to 0.03. The total amount is x plus 1,800. So equals 0.03 times quantity x plus 1,800. Simplifying, 0.12x minus 0.03x is 0.09x. Then equals 0.03 times 1,800 minus 0.02 times 1,800, and that is 18. Therefore, x is 18 over 0.09, so x is 200 pounds of cream containing 12% butter fat. So x is 2,000 pounds. And lastly, for this video, we'll have part 3, continuation of this. So problem 14, British sterling is 7.5% copper by weight. How many grams of silver must be mixed with 150 grams of an alloy that is 10% copper in order to make sterling? We will call that amount in grams of silver to be mixed with 150 grams of alloy that is 10% copper to make sterling as S. So S, because silver is 0% copper, so that means 0 times S. To be mixed with 150 grams of an alloy that is 10% copper, so plus 0.10 of 150, and we equate this to 7.5% of the total amount to be S plus 150. So 0.075 times 150 S plus 150. So simplifying, 0.1 of 150 minus 0.075 times 150 is 0.1 times 150 is 15, then 0.075 S, 0.075 times 150 is 11.25. So S is quantity 15 minus 11.25, that's 3.75 divided by 0.075, then we can solve S. S is 50 grams of silver. So that's it. S is 50 grams of silver. So that's it for this video.